Hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. On the 20th of July 1969, 50 years ago today, Neil Armstrong became the first man to step onto the surface of the moon. In recognition of this iconic event, I've decided to do a space-themed Matchbox makeover. I managed to pick up this second-hand space shuttle from spacemart.com fairly cheap. It's a bit sad looking but mechanically sound. It's had one owner, NASA. It's got a full service history and it's only got 100 million miles on the clock. There's a hydraulic leak under here. I had my mate Jacko from the local garage have a look at it. He reckons it should be fine so long as I keep it under 15,000 miles per hour. As for Kevin, you can take it from me that I won't be letting him get anywhere near it. So I'm going to give it a clean up and take it for a spin round the earth. I can't wait. I just want to have a look at the engines. They're a bit mucky, there's a fair bit of soot in there. Oh, right. Geez, they're dirtier than I thought. Oh well, I'll put it on the checklist. Oh! What the? Okay, so this is what the model looks like. It's a rather boring Matchbox Skybuster number 3 space shuttle. It looks like it's been chipped at the back here, but on closer inspection it's not, it's just the paint wearing off. The undercarriage is exactly the same as the undercarriage that was fitted to the Lightning that I did the other week. I guess it's a Matchbox standard for the Skybusters. When I take this apart, I'm going to put it back together with these 2M screws. The threaded section is 1.8 millimeters in diameter. So I'm going to drill a hole 1.5 millimeters in diameter and then tap it with this thread cutter, and that way the screws will be able to be used to put the base back on when I've finished at the end. I use this little tool here to put the screws in. They are hex head button screws, so I use a little Allen key that I've cut down in this tool. Makes it a hell of a lot easier. Now I'm using this spring-loaded center punch here just to mark up the center of these rivets, so when I drill them out, the drill won't be wandering. Now these rivets are quite deep, they go all the way to the roof of the model. So I have no fear that I'm going to drill through anything I shouldn't. So once I've drilled in approximately 1.5 times the length of the screws, I then use the thread cutter to cut an internal thread like that. And then I do a test fit of the screws I'm going to use, just to make sure I'm in deep enough. I'm not colour matching these grey to the base of this model, and you will see why later. That one's not quite deep enough, so I'll have to do that one again. So this is the base. As you can see, it was made in 1979 in Macau. Now that I'm happy with the rivets, I'm just using a slightly oversized drill here just to take off the smallest amount of metal off the top of the rivet, the only little bit that's holding the base still on. So using this small flat-bladed screwdriver as a lever, I just prise the rear off and then the front comes off quite easily. Then I remove the booster rockets, or the rocket exhausts on the back there. There's 3 of these rocket exhausts. This front rivet post here, I'm going to take that burr off there to make it easier to put back together. Those vertical posts there actually hold the undercarriage in as well when it's assembled. They're made of this rather durable black plastic. This one's quite a tight fit in there. And I'm going to be running the file over the edge of that top there, that rough edge on the top of that rivet there, to make it easier to put back together. Now I've taken the top off, I can now remove the undercarriage like that by sliding it forward and pulling it out. These are identical, as I said before, to the ones on the previous Skybuster model that I did. So I won't be surprised if in the future when I do some more Skybuster models, I'll be seeing these wheels again. Now before I strip the paint and the stickers off of this model, I just want to measure them so that I can make some fairly accurate or similar sized replacements. So using my vernier calipers once again, these digital vernier calipers are so handy. I mean, I never knew that I would use them as much as I do until I bought them. And now every day I use them for something or other. So there's all the measurements of these stickers, or decals, whatever you wish to call them. So now I can safely strip the paint off using this poly paint stripper. I use a little bit too much here. Comes out very fast. I should really get into the habit of dipping the brush into the can, I guess. I might try and remember that next time. Anyway, I'll give them a liberal coating. I mean, at least it's working. That's the main thing. I have got rubber gloves on, because this stuff is caustic and burns the skin. After I've left it to soften the bond of the paint and between the paint and the model, I then brush it off with this medium stiff paintbrush. Gets a bit messy. Look how much paint there was on this model. Ooh. When I reach this point here, it's difficult to see how much is left on there, so I just give them a quick scrub over in a bath of water. More often than not, what's left comes off at this stage, as it did here. Still not used to working with gloves. I used to hold, or I should say I normally hold all these bits on surgical forceps or hemostats, and I don't use the gloves, but I just thought I'd err on the side of caution here and try and show that the proper thing to do, even though I don't always do it myself. Now this is quite important. After you've done all the paint stripping, this is a step I've never really discussed. I always wash them off in some soapy warm water and rinse them thoroughly, because I want to get rid of all the residue of the paint stripper. What's happened in the past is I may have missed a little bit that's stuck in a corner somewhere, and then after I've undercoated it, it looks alright. Then when I put the top coat on, I notice under the magnifying glass there's like some kind of bubbling occurring in the corners of the creases and things, and I put it down to just small quantity of paint stripper being left behind. Maybe not even the paint stripper, maybe some sort of residue. That's why it's important to clean them well before painting. Then I give them a quick run over with this wire brush. Just kind of shines it up, removes some of the oxidization and pitting, and makes a good surface for the undercoat to adhere to. There's a little dent in the top of the rudder on this model. Could have been a casting error, or it may have been caused by dropping it onto a stone or something. So I'm going to fill it, and I'm using this flat bladed dental tool that I have as a spatula. So this is Humbrol Model Filler. I've used it before. So it's a tried and tested product. I know it works, and I'm putting it over the hole and then pressing it in. I'm trying not to get any into the crease there at the top where the rudder is represented, because it might be awkward to get it out. So that's phase one. I sand it down when it's dry, and then I repeat the process, because you usually don't, personally I don't usually get it right first time round. And I use progressively finer emery paper. Finish it off with some wet and dry paper. And I'll keep working on that. Now when I'm happy that the model's ready, I shake up some of this Tamiya fine primer. This one's light grey. It's one of my favourites. It goes on beautifully and does not obscure any of the details. Look at that. It's a great base to put the paint on. It's fantastic. Covers really well too. Just a quick sweep here and there. 100% coverage. Look at that. Also highlights the details on this model. They are a little bit sparse. I must admit the Matchboxes of yesteryear were a lot more detailed than the modern ones. And I mean, this is 1970s, so I guess you could argue it's not that modern, but it just was rather plain, I felt, this model. And here's another quick look at all the parts drying in the paint booth. To repaint this model, I'm using the Tamiya Gloss White X2. Give it a bit of thinners there. May not need it. It's just a habit I've gotten into. And for some reason my spray gun this morning was playing up a little bit. It wasn't coming out at normal. I normally put on like a medium heavy coat. And this was just coming out at normal, about 50% of what I'd normally put on. So I guess that means I had to go over it twice to get the desired effect. Here's a close-up of the plastic booster exhausts, whatever you call them, and I gave those a wash. I also washed the undercarriage and scrubbed them with a little toothbrush, and I'm using some of this liquid chrome on the end of the axles there to make them look like they're highly polished. Now the underside the underside I spray with this satin black export paint, and it goes on beautifully. This paint straight out of the can is awesome. And I've downloaded the picture here for a little bit of inspiration because I'm going to spruce this model up just a little bit, not too much. So I'm using the Tamiya XF19 Sky Grey, and I noticed in the picture that these leading edges on the delta wing there are this colour grey or similar. So I'm just doing that to add an element of interest to this model when it's back together, because it is a bit vanilla, you know, it's just plain white normally. Now here I'm not doing an exact copy of the picture because my painting skills are limited, and I always think work within your means or work at your level. Don't try to exceed it. If you know you can't do something, don't attempt it because you normally fail. And with models like this, if I failed putting this black paint on, it would be absolutely catastrophic and set me back 24 hours. As it is, I think it turned out not too bad. Just I had to really concentrate on taking my time and trying to get it right first time round. I also painted the nose cone on the Shuttle grey, which again is in accordance with the picture I downloaded. There's a close-up of the front end. As I said, it's not an exact replica, but at this scale it's going to look pretty cool. I notice on the picture too that the leading edge of this first third of the wing here was black, so I did that also, and the leading edge of the rudder. Now I'm going to make some decals. So I actually printed out today some stickers, and 2 lots of decals. These decals here are on clear backed transfer paper. I do some on white backed decal paper, and then I also do some stickers, and I just thought it would give me options. I'm going to compare which ones are better and obviously use those. So these are the stickers I did. I just printed them on these general labels. I mean, the original ones were stickers, and I thought maybe if I want it to look 100% original I should do stickers. That's why I did this. I also sprayed those with a top coat to try and seal in the ink, make it a little bit more durable. I gave the tyres and the axle unit a black wash to make it look like new plastic. Very fiddly here. Sometimes I go over the silver, have to redo the silver, then I go over the black, I have to go over the black. Anyway, I got there in the end. So here's all the bits that have been painted. I'm now leaving those overnight. And next morning I'm setting myself up for the assembly. So this is all the parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts, 2 screws and a bunch of stickers. This one goes in with the 2 smaller rocket boosters exhausts at the top. These are the larger ones that go into the main body of it. Like that, they just push into place. It's very easy to put back together. Before you screw the top and the bottom together, you have to remember to put the wheels back in. Because when the body is installed onto the underside there, like that, there's 2 pins inside the body that prevent the undercarriage from moving. So it locks the undercarriage in. And I put those screws back in. This is the last bit. The tail plane is actually a bit fiddly, but it actually holds the rear of the model together. So it goes all the way through and out the base there, see? I put this last screw in with an Allen key. I noticed that my screws that I bought, they seem to have 2 slightly different sized holes on them, and sometimes the tools spin in the hole and I have to get the next size up. This is one of those instances. Anyway, I've got it back together finally. Now I'm going to do just a quick test on these decals and stickers that I printed out, because I want to see which are best. These ones, the blacks aren't as clearly defined as on these. The white backed transfer looks a hell of a lot crisper. And the clear, the black is a little bit washed out. Doesn't quite look as good as I would hope. Clear obviously would be the better option, because then you match the colour of the model perfectly. But I'm using this BP tanker, or maybe it's not a BP tanker, I'm not sure. And I'm just playing around here, putting on one of each to see which one looks the best. Now the sticker, the background's got a little grey tinge to it, so it's got to be one of the decals, I think. And I'm airing towards the white backed, the one on the top there. So that's the one I'm going with. So I cut these out as cleanly as I can and as close to the words and the flags and everything. So there's a minimal border. Dip them in the water. Wait till the backing sheet separates and pull the backing sheet out. And this sticker was a little bit low for my liking. The very bottom edge rode out on top of the wing. So I just dabbed a little bit of water on there and coaxed it back up onto the fuselage a little bit higher until I was happy with how it was. Now The thing to remember is the United States flag always points forwards on these models. And the rear is lined up just in front of the rear tailplane section there. It's got the USA on the right wing and the flag on the left wing. So this is what I started with. All in all, a very boring model. This one's got a bit of damage on the paint and the stickers look atrocious. And this is what it looks like now. Even the white makes it stand out more. Before, the white seemed a little bit yellow, but this looks absolutely beautiful. And the grey and the black just set it off and make for a superb miniature space shuttle. I'm happy with that. Well, I've topped up the fuel, thank goodness for American Express. I'm going to take this baby out and see how she handles. Whoa, she's pretty quick off the mark. The fuel economy is not the best. I've used about 10,000 gallons in the first 10 seconds. What a fantastic view up here. I'm going to put the handbrake on and go outside and take some photos to send home. What? That's weird. I could have sworn that there was a spacesuit in here when I checked this morning. That doesn't make sense. Hang on. Who's that? Kevin! Wow, I hope you enjoyed that video. It really was out of this world. So until next time, this is Marty from Marty's Matchbox Makeovers saying goodbye.